Have it. The question now is that vote conservation stand part of the schedules. Eugenie Sage.
Tēnā koe. The summary of new policy initiatives in the performance information for vote conservation is the story of funding cuts, and it's yet another example of the anti-environment stance and policies of this government. In vote conservation, we see $8.7 million axed from the purchase and development of new reserves to meet the government's cost-saving target. We see $1.5 million cut from natural heritage management. Those are the programs to care for our public conservation lands, for threatened species, for pest and weed control. That means there will be 6 fewer possum control operations done than in the previous financial year. We see a $1 million cut in the management of recreational opportunities. So that means fewer kilometres of walking and tramping tracks are maintained, fewer pamphlets promoting the opportunities to go walking and mountain biking on conservation land. If the $1.67 million that the Ministry of Economic Development wasted surveying the unlikely mineral potential of the southwest New Zealand World Heritage Area had gone to DOC, it could have paid for more than 100,000 hectares of aerial pest control to protect mistletoe, rata, fuchsia from possum browse, and to improve the prospects for threatened species such as the roiwi or house brown kiwi. So the funding cuts that we see in this vote, combined with the policy direction that we see in the Department's statement of intent, are worrying. The Department is signalling that conservation lands are open for business, and that includes some quite destructive, extractive businesses. The Department's statement of intent has a major section on business opportunities. One of the initiatives in that section is, and I quote, to increase the number, value and quality of commercial sponsorship partners providing a net benefit to conservation. DOC already has a business relationship with 5 major corporates: Mitre 10, Rio Tinto, BNZ, Solid Energy and Genesis. Those companies generated a mere $2.5 million in sponsorship revenue in the 2010-11 financial year. That's paltry given their size and given the major public relation benefits which companies such as the BNZ have had from the Kiwi Recovery Program, when departmental employees have had to wear BNZ branded clothing when they are filmed or photographed working with Kiwi. So, Mr Chair, the government's cuts to conservation funding mean that the Department is putting out its begging bowl to the corporate sector to help meet that funding shortfall. The statement of intent doesn't include any specific targets, but, Mr Chair, this is a very worrying initiative, particularly when we hear the reports that the Department is considering accepting sponsorship from Fonterra. And this is troubling because Fonterra shareholders are responsible for some of the most extensive, serious and severe water pollution problems in New Zealand. And that's from agricultural intensification, particularly dairying expansion in the lowland areas, and the impact that that is having on our lowland streams. So the Department needs to be very careful when it enters into sponsorship arrangements. Fonterra doesn't operate on conservation land, and any sponsorship arrangement is potential greenwash for the company. If Fonterra sponsors DOC, this raises questions about what Fonterra would expect in return, what compromises the Department would have to make to its statutory advocacy. Because under this national government, DOC has cut back its RMA advocacy for nature outside of the conservation estate, despite the Rakaia Water Conservation Order recognising that that river has outstanding values as habitat for braided river birds such as the black-fronted tern and the ribal plover, both threatened species. The Department hasn't been involved in Trustpower's application to amend the Water Conservation Order and change the river's flows. The Department had a major role in the first generation of district and regional plans. Working with conservation groups, it got rules controlling Indigenous vegetation clearance, wetland drainage, stock access to waterways. In Canterbury, the ECAN Commissioners have just notified the combined Land and Water Regional Plan for Canterbury. If Fonterra becomes a commercial sponsor of DOC, will this constrain the Department's already limited RMA advocacy? Will the department seek stronger policies than that and other plans to protect the habitats of native fish, or will it oppose irrigation takes, or will it wind back its limited advocacy? Mr. Speaker, that's a very worrying trend.
Nikki Wagner.
Speaker, I'm pleased to take a call on the